All right, Cody, Bengals get the win over Cal Poly, defend home turf. First of all, just thoughts after the game.
Yeah, to me, it's just another step of the program. We knew kind of going through the gauntlet at the beginning, we had to take advantage of our opportunities during the tough stretch and then try to capitalize on the games that we know we're capable of winning. And, when you have the opportunity to play Cal Poly, it's the first time in a while that we beat an opponent in back-to-back years. I know we'd beaten Cal Poly in 22, I believe, but we didn't play them in 23. And I thought our guys expected to win, and while that was positive, that it's probably a perfect scenario for a coach where you're able to go out and win a game, get some situational work. You have a lot of things to be really excited about, but there's also a ton to correct. I think our guys have a really good mentality going in down the stretch, that they understand, all right, hey, this is kind of playing out how Coach Hawk said it would. We're going down here, and all right, we made it through. We stole one of those really tough ones, and we have an opportunity to close the season out with some really important games. And I knew if we got Cal Poly, that's the one that scares you the most coming down the stretch, just because I know our guys will get up for Weber. Guys are going to be excited to play Weber. Guys are going to be really excited to play the University of Idaho. But just having the opportunity to finish one off, and we could have done better in the red zone. We could have stopped the quarterback run better. But the defense did a great job on third downs. Had a really pivotal turnover coming out of the halftime. And then we ran the ball well when we had to, which is always encouraging. And excited about how the guys handled the week, how they prepared, and excited for us taking the next step and what we need to do to kind of continue to grow this thing.
Cody, your program had a milestone win last week. You never know how a young team learning how to win is going to respond. And when they come out and score 14 straight points, is that a little bit of a relief for you? Did you have any kind of curiosity how they'd respond?
I didn't have any curiosity about how we would start. It was probably more when things started to go poorly. We had a couple of red zone drives that we should have finished off. That's where you wonder, can you maintain the confidence and not worry too much about winning and just get back to focusing on the details that lead to winning? I was worried about it going into it, but our guys didn't prepare. They didn't overlook them. I didn't have a sense from that way. It's just general coaching. The same reason you would think it, as someone who's worked in sports for such a long time, me being around there, you're afraid that guys are going to get too high. But I think it's a different scenario than when, it's not like we played like trash for so many weeks and then went out and had this miraculous game. It was a lot of frustration, and where we're at as a program, I didn't want to discount the win 2 weeks ago. Beating Davis was great, but I think our guys did kind of feel like, finally, it wasn't, oh my gosh, we did things we aren't capable of. We did what we thought we would do, and we made the plays needed to win, which has been our bugaboo for a little bit. There's been much ado made about how deep we've taken some of these teams, but as we continue to build this thing, Pauline and I had talked about, all right, hey, year one, we had to sign a bunch of guys and not be terrible and treat people well. And then year two, you got to get a little bit better. And then going into year three, even though the schedule is tough, we thought we had a really talented team. I think this is the best team that we've had, able to play complete football. But you still, when you have guys that haven't done it before, you're always kind of curious about how long is it going to take them to learn to win, to trust their technique on third down, to finish games off, and to be able to ride the waves of the game and finish. And I thought they took another step towards that, but it's going to take 2 great weeks to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish, which is just getting better. I talk all the time about getting better, and now we've kind of reached our, hey, that's 3 conference wins, which, great, we've done that. Well, now we got 2 cracks to one up that. And then 2 cracks against great rivals that, I don't know when the last time we beat Weber back-to-back was, probably a long time ago. And then the Vandals have kind of had our number for a little bit, and we owe them something too. So lots to play for coming down the stretch. Love our team, excited about how they handled it today. Guys are excited, but not elated or delusional. They're saying, hey, great job, fired up with how the D played, special teams, you did your job, offense, way to finish the game, and just able to finish that out. We're excited.
You're trying to build this elite program, and part of that's the defense, and we're seeing improvement there. The quarterback obviously had some damage tonight. Where does the run defense fit into your program, trying to build this elite program?
It's huge, and I think if you can't split the 2 things in the grand scheme of the program. But they didn't run the ball very well when they handed it to the tailback, and a lot of some of those were scrambles. So hey, we got to cover number 7, but they hadn't played a lot of games. Diffenbach's been hurt most of the year, so we knew he could get out and move, but that's something that we were addressing on the headset and talked about at halftime is, hey, we need to put a lid on this. Now, we got a few more, but got out a little bit less. I think for us, if we would have seen as much as he ran tonight on tape, we probably would have had a little bit of a different plan. But our guys know stopping the run, first and foremost, is really important, which the first step is stopping when you know who's going to run it and they're going to run it, which we were able to do that. But handling the quarterback is definitely that next elite level of stuff, which often takes putting an extra hat in the box, whether it's, maneuvering the linebackers or keying guys or passing guys off mid-snap or bringing the safety in the box and leaving your guys in one-on-ones. But I know they have a good plan for it. I mean, Coach Duff did a good job in the second half making adjustments. He always does a great job communicating with our staff. And, Duff and Bobby J, our 2 Idaho guys on that staff, do a great job. And proud of the way Ricky had the D-line playing. But we got to stop the quarterback run to beat the elite teams. And that's something we'll work on throughout this week because I know we're going to see it coming down the stretch here. Weber and Idaho are both going to have a heavy dose of it.
You always want to be more efficient when it comes to the red zone offense. The hiccups tonight, what'd you see?
Yeah, one was just, so they zero out a lot in the red zone, and it's just, we mis-ID'd one run. One, we had a lineman down, and one of our reserve guys who in there didn't quite finish the block. And some of it's call in place for me, as I probably could have been, I think I was trying to run it because I knew we could run it, kind of trying to set the tone, but probably should have thrown it more in those scenarios, which I don't think anybody's ever said around here since I've been here, so we should throw it more. But I think it's maintaining balance and making sure that we continue to hone in on those details because that will bite us when we play better teams. But to have a game like that where you're able to just make sure you keep a comfortable lead and not, trust me, there are times I wanted to go for it, but also doing the right thing by our team. Okay, you're up by 2 scores here, make it 3 scores. Don't get out over your skis, or hey, you're up, first drive out of half, you got to get points. You can't walk away from that. And then at the end there, just our guys know we're not trying to score. But I need to be better. It always comes down to detail and players, not plays, making sure we're getting the ball to the right guys.
You've talked about Tracer Valley guys in the past, and what kind of impact Reynolds and Duarte have on this team right now because they're out there just doing everything.
Yeah, I think the greatest thing about those guys, they're local, and that's awesome. But, they could be from the moon, and they'd still be some of your best players. Just the way that they are awesome humans. They're great men. They're both really low maintenance. They always take care of the details. They're both really tough and have had to play through injuries. I think for our guys to see them, and, they go back to the Treasure Valley with them. They go to the rodeo in the Treasure Valley. They go to Idaho Pizza Company and get to hit all the buffets, and then they get to come back and get really serious about football. I think it's important to have, when your best players are your best people, it's great. But to have them be standout players and glue guys has really been a blessing for us.
Davis Harson, every time he steps in the field, mop-up duty, I know coaches don't like that phrase, but getting snaps.
Yeah.
How much more closer to a competition does he have with JC next year?
We'll see. It's going to be up to him. I think Jordan has done a great job elevating his game throughout this offseason. But the great thing about Harson that you knew you were going to get when you signed him was this dude competes at an elite level. And I'm not talking about, when the lights are on, he's going to try really hard. I'm talking about his preparation throughout the week. And part of the reason you put him at the end to run the game, and I've been talking to him about, hey, if we end up getting to a situation where we're going to run the ball a lot here, you got to be ready to add the extra hat because we're a 10 personnel team. Running the quarterback is important when you have to do it. He definitely has the ability to push anybody just because he understands the details. He's a competitor. He's smart. Guys love him. And I think having him in the room makes everybody better. It makes me better because he'll go through and he'll analyze every little part of the game plan and say, all right, hey, does this fit? And what if they play this coverage? What's our answer? And if they get to this front, what are we going to do? And those are things that he was asking me this week. But hey, if they get in this front, do we want to box it? Do we want to plus it? Do we want to rim it? Do we want to read him? And so everybody on the team, even JC and him get along really well. They were running crumble cookie relays for our O-linemen this week together. But they work really well together. They push each other. And JC knows that Harsh is going to make sure everybody's buttoned up because if you aren't, he's going to show up and take your job. But I think they work really, really well together. Excited about JC. And Harsh is going to win a conference championship here as a quarterback at some point, whether it's next year or 3 years from now. He's a stud. We love having him and appreciate the teammate he's been for the whole quarterback room and the entire offense.
Part of building a program is engaging the community, especially where Idaho State's been. This might be more of a question for Paul, but the win last week, it's a milestone win, and I don't know what the expectations were for today, but are you seeing the community engagement? Are you seeing the growth? I personally thought maybe there'd be a few more people in the stands today, but it's a process, right?
I agree with you. I addressed it with the team about bringing our own energy. This is probably on the lower end of people that we've had here. But also, I said the last 2 times we were here, we had a woulda, coulda, shoulda against Montana and laid an egg against NAU. So it's been a while. Hopefully having 2 home games back to back. Wish you could see us play the purple team because I think that'll be a great atmosphere. When we play the rivalry games here, it's always been really big. But to be fair, I tell guys, I mean, I was living in Miami, and you know how many people went to the Hurricane games when they were bad? Nobody. People show up to watch winners, right? That's just really important. And now, can that culture sustain for a little bit during a couple down years? Absolutely, but there's a pretty direct correlation between how successful a team is and how many people come to the games, and our guys know that. So tonight, we talked about the importance of bringing our own energy, but if we win, the people in Pocatello are going to show up. It's not like people here are averse to football or distant, but everybody, it's natural to follow winners more closely, and they want to go see a really good product on the field. And I appreciate all the work that Pauline and the administration have put in to help us get to that point, because I don't want to burn this place to the ground and try to do the hey, win now mentality. I think what fits me as a person, what fits this community, is just having some real substance and putting some roots down and trying to build something that's lasting. And I think we're making progress towards that. But I know there are a lot of places you go in the Big Sky, Mike, where you could win the championship and nobody shows up. This isn't one of those places. And I know we've had some dark years over the past 2 decades. But there have been some good spots, and maybe even in those good spots, people kind of notice that it catches fire and they show up. But as we continue to push on this thing, part of the thing that gives me so much hope for this place is, you can see it at the quarterback club meetings. You can see it when you're at the grocery store. Our guys feel it when they're in the community. You'll see paw prints on the road and Bengal flags in the neighborhood. That there are people here, and we have to continue to work to gain their trust and their loyalty. But it's here. These people want to love on the Bengals, and so many of our loyal fans do in every way that they can. But our guys know and they feel it, that as we continue to build this thing, that they'll show up. We'll be in good shape.
X's and O's without looking at the film. What's the priority? How do you get better to beat Weber State?
Well, obviously against Weber State, you're going to have to beat a lot of man coverage. So I think that's something where primarily against man coverages tonight, we were able to, maneuver defenders with motions or shifts or whatever and get the ball to Dason. But they're going to force you to throw the ball. They're going to load obviously very similar to our defense. We stole Grant Duff from Weber, so a lot of his old staff is there. And they've evolved the defense a little bit, but they're going to challenge you. They're going to play a lot of man coverage, and it's kind of a boom or bust scenario where you can go right down the field and then hit a wall for 3 consecutive drives. The number one thing that we have to continue to work on is just the detailed communication in our run game, because it bit us on a couple things tonight, and in the protection piece. Our offensive line is awesome. Coach Hughes does a great job. They're playing really well, but I think some of it's my tendency to incorporate tempo, and we got to make sure our communication doesn't suffer just because of it, right? Tempo should be a weapon, not a hindrance.
It's the time of year where you're trying to recruit as well. And are you, because playoffs are going on in Idaho and you recruit so heavily in Idaho, are you blanketing the state on Friday nights?
So there are rules. We can't totally canvass it because you can only go to 1 game per school per year right now.
Okay.
So I would, trust me. Like Skyline was playing in here, and if I could break the rules and go in here, and then I would have. But we've watched those guys play, so we can't see them. And so we've seen everywhere. I mean, we've seen Pocatello, we've seen Highland, we've seen Rigby, we've seen Skyline. We've seen almost every team in the state play so far. I got to get out and watch my alma mater as they try to win a state championship here. But we get out and we see games every Friday night. And having a lot of local guys, whether it's Salt Lake City, Treasure Valley, Eastern Idaho, is really important for us. And those are the guys where they're going to pop up late. And I can't tell you any of their names, but there are a lot of players that we're evaluating and pushing on locally to try to get on board. And, Idaho, the high school season, it's a bummer because, state championship is going to be when we're in Moscow. So if they play in the Kibbie Dome, great, we might be able to go. But I would love for the NCAA to change the rules and allow us to go to more games, because I would go to I'd go to a high school game every night if I could. But I try to make sure we see all the Pocatello schools and all the Eastern Idaho schools at least once. And when the rules change and allow us to go multiple times, we will canvass the state consistently.
Is there any kind of movement there on that?
No.
Okay.
I think just the unfortunate thing is recruiting happens earlier and earlier now.
Yeah.
It's so many of the Power 5 schools. I know Boise State has gotten a couple of commits here recently that have been highly publicized or decommit, whatever.
Even 27 guys.
But, and you're so far ahead of the game now that it seems like you do so much of your recruiting in the off season. And now that for the bigger schools, there are dollars and cents behind it. Those kids are making their decisions and staying put a lot earlier. I mean, we've been basically full recruiting for weeks now. And I don't know the last time Idaho State was done recruiting before October started, but I say we're done. You're always going to add a couple more pieces because some guys might get hurt and retire. Some guys might graduate. Some guys might choose to leave. But from the known entities, we're already done. But you got to start working on 27s now, and you got to make sure you're looking for other guys that might be slipping through the cracks. And we have a list of them and try to support them as best as we can.
I'm getting deep into the weeds here and probably stealing
No, it's great.
everybody's
Good.
questions, but and I hate to ask this question in front of your boss, but as you get more successful as a program, roster retention becomes a more difficult job for you. Do you have the resources you need, or are the resources growing as you need to build this roster or fight this roster retention battle?
Pauline and I talk about this a lot. You know, last year we lost 5 guys to Power 5 schools. And would it be nice to have them on our team this year? Yeah, we'd be better. But you can complain about it, but that's just how football is now. It just is. It's not better or worse, it's just different. Just like, hey, cell phones are terrible, but it's also nice to have a cell phone, you know? And it's just, hey, I hate being stuck on the tarmac, but it sure beats a horse and buggy going across the Rockies. You know, things just change, and that's kind of the new change of football. I think right now we're in an age of overcorrection, right? The players got screwed for a long time, and now they're probably running, you know, you got the inmates running the asylum. But it's a pleasure to be a part of college football, and everything that I want to do is better. To be totally honest with you, I don't know what the revenue sharing is going to look like in the big sky as we kind of move into this next phase next year. I don't know, but we're gonna find a baseline, and we're gonna start with keeping our priority guys, and then we're gonna have to figure out, all right, well, how did the retention go this year? Let's try to do a little bit better, and you have to do a little bit of investigation. I know our resources are not near the top of the conference right now, but they ain't near the bottom either, and that's, to me, we're in the fight, and that's the exciting thing about being here, is just get better. If we did something and we go backwards, I'm gonna be hot. We don't need to be the best tomorrow, and she knows that. Our facilities aren't the best, but man, the strides we've made, awesome. Strength and conditioning, nutrition, even our roster retention in the portal has probably been better than it was before. I think our APR's up, our nutrition's up, our funding's up, our scholarships are up. Everything has gone in the right direction. It remains to be seen, is it enough to win a championship right now? But I'm not trying to win a championship right now. I'm trying to have championship behaviors and get a little bit better every day. And I appreciate the support that our team has given us, our administration here. But I mean, she's just as competitive as I am. She's just as competitive as these players. And she's going to help us get where we need to go. And right now, because it's less publicized and it's really foreign waters for teams in the big sky, we're kind of figuring it out as we go. But you got to figure it out fast. You got to set a benchmark. You got to improve. You got to improve. You got to improve. And we're constantly looking at ways to get better. And I think right now we're on the right track. But it's a journey every day. I'll let you know when we get there.
You're trying to finish out and win all the games to finish out. If you finish out and win, is this program kind of smelling playoff possibilities for the first time in a long time? Do you feel like that scenario's there?
Yeah, you know, the gold standard for playoffs, I would, especially with the Ivy League schools getting bids this year, if we went out, I don't think we'll get in the playoffs, just to be honest with you. Would it be great to sneak in somehow? Absolutely. But what I think, as we look at the schedule, is we recognize, and I openly talk to our guys about, guys, the hard schedule is not an excuse, but it's also a reality. And I'm always going to be honest with you about how we built this thing. Our challenge is going to be to continue to get better, even if the wins and losses aren't changing, because you're playing playoff teams. And if we want to play playoff football, awesome. We played 4 playoff teams right in a row. Right in a row. You're playing playoff football whether you like it or not. You're just not winning those games right now. But we have to stay together and finish this season. Win, lose, or draw the next 2 games. If we go 0-2, I'm not going to be happy about it, but are we playing good football? But as we build this thing and then going into next year, 7 home games for the first time in how long, John?
1990.
Yeah, first time in 35 years to have 7 home games. And it doesn't mean you're going to the playoffs, but we're building this thing in the right way. You're seeing progress and you can see good things on the horizon. I think our guys feel that, and they have to capture the moment. We have to play well for these next couple weeks, but we have a lot of great things in our future. And I don't know if we're going to get to the playoffs tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to get to the playoffs 3 years from now. But I know we're going to do things with a playoff mentality, and we're going to judge ourselves against those teams in everything that we do, and how we recruit, how we coach, how we retain our staff, how we retain our players, and how we compete on the field. And the next couple of weeks will be a big part of that.
How's Hawk Sr. doing on special teams?
He's great. He's doing a great job. I think having him around is just absolutely invaluable, and he loves football too much. He loves mentoring people too much to stay totally away, but he's also pretty fired up that he got to coach Tater this year. So he'd be here for the first part of the week and drive over to Boise and coach the mini nights. I love having him around. I mean, his advice is awesome. He does a great job helping mentor the staff, mentor the players, and he's in his element. And I love being able to have him around. I love being able to provide him that opportunity after he gave everything to me. But he does a great job, not just with the X's and O's, but the technique and the fundamental stuff. And I mean, I don't know if there's anybody in the country who's had specialists play at a higher level consistently than us. part of that's recruiting, so you got to give shout out to Thies, but I also know the amount of mental stuff and technical stuff that our specialists are getting is unrivaled in the country at any level. At Ohio State, the specialists aren't getting treated like the specialists here. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Cody, talking about the special teams, let's talk about Gabe Russo real quick.
Yeah.
He had 3 punts, averaged, I think, 50 yards a punt tonight, 2 were inside the 20, and then he had a pin down kickoff as well. What was the impact on him?
Gabe's awesome, man. And for him stepping up, Mason got hurt, and we found out right before the game that Gabe was going to have to do kickoffs as well. But, we have the number 1 net punt team in the country, and I know that may not seem like a stat that matters, but as you look at capturing yardage, the good teams have really good punt teams. You've got to be good on special teams, and to have Trajan kick it the way he's kicking it, and to have Gabe, again, it's not just kicking it far. Everybody wants to say, well, we average 80 yards a punt, but if you can't cover it, your hang time stinks, it doesn't matter. So it's putting everything together, and he kicked the snot out of it today, and that was a huge part of winning the game, because right when we were stalling out on offense, and we were thinking, this stinks. Well, you look down, and they got the ball inside the 10-yard line, and those percentages of them doing anything are not very good. So that's got to be a huge part of every complete football program is having an elite special teams unit, and Gabe definitely showcased that today.
Anything else, Mike?
I'm good, bud.
Okay. Cody, just finally, what do you want to see from the fans next week going into Weaver?
Hey, I would say we got to earn attendance. I know a lot of people like to talk about it and beg for it, but hey, if you love Pocatello and you don't have anything better to do on Saturday night, I hope you come out. I know the Weaver fans will show up because they're going to drive up from Ogden, and it's a game that a lot of people here should have local connections for. I want people to show up, but I also want to know what I can do to earn their tickets and to get butts in seats, because I love coaching here and our guys love being here, and I think the more that we do for our players, we'll see dividends of that. And I'm excited for a great opponent coming here, another rivalry game, and would love to get as many people here as we can, but I'm excited to earn it.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks.